So dear students, yesterday we saw everything about Dr. Sadao Hoki, how his father brought him up with how his father gave importance to his education, how Dr. Sadao Hoki was very successful as a scientist, as a surgeon. He went to America for his higher studies and all that. Okay. Now like we ended yesterday with the note that suddenly Hannah and Sadao saw somebody at the sea coast, you can say. They thought or they assumed that maybe it was a fisherman, because generally fishermen go there at that time of the night, in the evening, to collect fish or some if there are some precious shells or something like that. So they decided to go and look. They thought maybe he's fainted there because of the storm, no, something happened to him. So they went to check him out. Now when they came closer, they were surprised to see that there was sand on one side of him and it had a stain of red soaking through. Obviously, soaking red as in they are trying to tell that there was blood. Okay, he's wounded. Now Sadao knew that this person is wounded. Now he's a doctor. What does a good doctor do? His first instinct is, if he sees a patient or if he sees a person who is in pain, he first decides to look at that person and treat that person, correct? So that he can give him some medication and that person is absolutely fine. So when he looked at his face, there was a cap stuck on his head. Okay, there was a cap on his head, and the person there, or who was assumed to be a fisherman, was in wet clothes, rags of garments, as in his clothes are all torn over there. Okay. But when they turned the face of the man, they were surprised. It was no Japanese fisherman, it was a white man. Okay, white man here. Whom do you call a white man? A brown person. When you talk about a brown man, it's always referred to a person who's either an Indian or an Asian, basically, because our skin color is termed to be brown, and white man is assumed to be a American here. Okay. Like I told you, this is the World War, no? Again, the background is similar to that of our first chapter, the last lesson. So even here, this is about the World War, and Japan and America were on the opposite sides. So obviously, this American was supposed to be Japan's enemy. Okay, so this was supposed to be Sadao's enemy. So he was surprised. It's a white man, and he was unconscious. He knew nothing, whatever was happening around him. He didn't know that he's on the coast now. He's at the bank of the sea, and there are two Japanese who are standing close to him. He completely was unaware of the situation because he was unconscious. Now obviously, like I told you, Sadao was a doctor, so automatically he decided to first give first aid to that person. His expert fingers began searching for the wound. He saw that the wound was on the lower side of the back. Okay, and it was a gun wound that had been reopened. Okay, what do you mean by a gun wound that had been reopened? Maybe that person or that American was shot with a gun, and before the wound healed completely, maybe first of all it did not heal correctly, but even before it healed, there was another wound on that. Maybe because of the rough sea, this rocks and stones pierced through his body, and that wound became fresh again. Okay. Now comes the conflicting situation. What shall we do with this man? Sadao and Hannah both were confused. Okay. Why were they confused? What is the conflict? Like I told you, the two situations which were conflicting here is the situation of national interest and that of a duty of a good doctor. Correct? He was bleeding very badly. That person would die if he wouldn't receive first aid. So for the time being, Sadao decided to pack the wound with the sea moss. You know what is the sea moss? That soft grass which is available on the river banks there. Okay, he took that grass and he decided to put it on the wound there, which would at least temporarily stop the bleeding. The man moaned with pain in his stupor, in his unconsciousness also he moaned with pain. He was in such deep pain, but he did not become conscious again. Now Sadao said, I think the best option is, the best thing we could do is put him back to the sea. Let God decide his fate. We cannot save him. If we save him, we will be going against our nation. If we save him, we will be traitors, correct? And at the same time, if we kill him, that is against the duty of a doctor, correct? What can a doctor, first and foremost, doctors take an oath when they become doctors. They first take an oath where they are said that no profit motive is important for them. The first thing that they are supposed to do is save a person's life if it is possible. They are supposed to save a patient's life. The treatment of their patient is their first and foremost duty. Everything else is secondary. So that's what they were scared about. If we sheltered a white man in a house, we should be arrested. Yes, they both were worried, and they had two small kids, no? So they were really worried if they both get arrested or they both get punished, what will happen to their kids? Correct? So both of them decided to put the white man back into the sea again. But then again, both are very good human beings. Sadao is a good doctor, no doubt. He is a good human being also, and Hannah is also equally kind. Now, they decided to put him back into the sea, but nobody had the guts to do it. Neither of them moved. They were staring with a curious repulsion upon the inert figure. What is he? There is something about him that looks American, okay? They saw that he's a white man and he is most probably an American. And when they read his cap, it was written US Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. There's an exclamation mark there, prisoner of war. This is another difficult situation now. See, there's a wound at the back, correct? That means he was captivated. He was captured by the Japanese maybe, or being tortured there. And he ran away from there, and that's why the bullet wound is on his back, correct? See, he has escaped, Hannah cried softly, and that is why he is wounded. He was a prisoner of war, he tried to escape, and that's why he was shot from behind. Now this is a worse situation. If they save this man, saving an American is a crime, no doubt, for them. But if they save a prisoner of war, that will be the worst thing for them. They might get punished, or even something like life imprisonment, or they might get hanged. Now they both decided to put him back, but none of them were able to do it. See, both of them were like reluctant to do it. No, I am not able to do it. Finally, Hannah said that I know you are very kind, and our conscience does not allow it. We will not throw him into the sea. We must carry him to the house. But the servants, there were servants also at home. So Sadao was scared of that also. What if they go and inform the police that our masters are coming, our masters have, our master and his wife have saved a prisoner of war, an American. We cannot put our life in danger, plus our children also. Who's going to take care of them? So now finally they decided that it's better to lift the man. He was very light. The man was very light, because obviously if he was a prisoner of war, he couldn't be well fed, no? He was like a fowl. Who's a fowl? Fowl is an animal there, a bird actually. So he was very light. They could lift him or carry him very easily, alright? Because he was starved there. Nobody took good care of him when he was a prisoner of war. They carried him and they took him to the father's room. Sadao's father was not in this world anymore, no, he was dead. But his room was as it is. Like I told you, he respected his father a lot, no. His room was well kept, neat and tidy, and it had not been used after the man died. And they went and laid the man on the deeply matted floor. Obviously, they are Japanese, you know the Japanese style, no, they don't have beds. They have mattresses, thick mattresses. Gadde bolte hain na hum jisko, mattress, those thick mattresses, and they sleep or they sit on that. Even their dining tables are very low. If you watch all these cartoons and all like Doraemon, you'll keep referring to that, you'll give examples of that. You can see very clearly their style of living is very different from us, or very different from the Westerners. So they made him lie on that mattress there in the father's room.